What is going on, Nuggets Nation, NBA fans? I am Tom Leuthner. Welcome back to another episode of Nuggets Today. Let's hop into a few topics on this off day that I think can help us win the game, especially because it's going to be tougher to win now than if we were to take one of the last two games at least. The first topic I want to jump into is what Denver needs to do to win. I think the most obvious answer for that question or this topic is Jamal Murray needs to wake up in the fourth when we need him. Right? We're chucking up threes, and I know that's something I covered last episode, but any Denver fan understands that Jamal Murray needs to wake up when we need him to wake up. Like I said, I think I said a few episodes ago, I'd rather Jamal Murray have a terrible first two quarters and come out and be able to do amazing in the fourth when we need him to be amazing and not put up 2 points. Our entire team struggled, and I know that was a little tough outside of Jokic. You know, that's something, again, that I covered yesterday and I'll continue to cover. But we need Jamal Murray, who's supposed to be that guy, score in the fourth quarter when he is needed. The one change I would like to see is that instead of Murray and Westbrook playing together, now that we saw Strother is capable, use Russ as Murray's sub to be able to get a break. I know that in the post-game presser, David Adelman was saying how the rotation may have been his fault and he needs to figure out a way to work maybe more guys into the rotation or fix minutes. And I agree. I think that especially if we're going to sit Jokic for the entire beginning of the third and not sit him the fourth, I think Jamal Murray needs to have a sub as well, and that sub should be Westbrook. The toughest thing is that you need one of the two on the floor, because if you don't, then your team can't score, because we saw that this bench isn't that capable of scoring without them two doing something. The only thing is, again, Jamal needs to wake up. We can't have 2 points from Jamal in the fourth quarter when Jokic is doing everything and the rest of our team can't shoot. The other two topics for this topic, the 2 points for this topic I want to start talking about. Limit the turnovers and be smarter with the ball. I know that we keep saying this, and it's just a reiteration of what we said the last episode and the episode before that. You need to protect the ball. We sort of get antsy and we try to go and play our game, which is a fast break game, which I like. But they're stopping that. We had 7 fast break points yesterday. That's not like us, but it's because we're throwing bad passes. We're trying to go up with layups we shouldn't go up with. And we're not capitalizing when we have leads. We continue to turn it over and allow them to go on these runs. They ended the first half on a crazy run. I believe it was a 9-0 run, and we should have been up a lot more at half, which gave them all the momentum coming into it. I know we started hot in the third, but then we start getting tired, and we start doing this, and we start getting lazy. We start throwing sloppy passes. We need better passes, and that's obvious. You know, obviously we're turning the ball over way too much this entire series, but that's what we need. The last bullet point I want to cover for this topic is take smarter shots. I like the 3-ball when it works, but when it's not working, go to the basket. We didn't finish around the basket yesterday, which I was surprised because we usually do. But we have to be tougher around there. Again, we see Jamal Murray go up with that up and under, finish on the opposite side with his right hand. Why not continue to do that instead of chucking threes in the fourth when we're just getting outshot in the fourth quarter by their bench? They have fresh legs in there, and that's going to be tougher, but they're allowing us to shoot for a reason, and we weren't capitalizing. Aaron Gordon's getting blocked on dunks, something that's not very, very like him to see, and I know Hartenstein's a good rim protector, but go up stronger. Attempt to draw contact instead of just trying to dunk on people. I don't mind if it's gonna work. Obviously, I'm gonna love it, but if it's not working, then don't try it. Stop chucking 3-balls, fadeaway threes. We're not set. Jumpers that aren't working. Stop trying to match their game because that's not our game. This next topic that I want to jump into here is it is time to see change in this starting five. Michael Porter Jr. is not working in the starting five anymore, and I know it's because of an injury. So I don't want to sit here and say he's a terrible player, he's not playing well. He can't lift his shoulder, and it's evident now. It is evident. In the last 2 games, again, I appreciate what he's doing because with his injury, he shouldn't be playing, and he is. They said 4 to 6 weeks, and he's playing through it. In the last 3 games, he is 2 for 25, right? And that's something that we need to see MPJ. I believe that's from three-point line. Michael Porter Jr. cannot afford to be that when he's supposed to be your sniper from the bench. He's supposed to be a guy who can come in, hit those threes. Like I said last episode, he should not have been in those crucial minutes at the end of the game taking those 3-pointers. That's when you need to see something else. he can still play and get his minutes, but it is time to see a change in the five. I know we want to keep the size, and we can attempt to do that with a guy like Peyton Watson coming in and getting those starting rotation minutes, but we can also see better defense. Again, Watson gives better defense than MPJ is right now. He looked lackadaisical in the bottom block last night in the zone. He was allowing alley-oops here and there, fouling people, and ones, whatever it was. Peyton Watson was also fouling because he didn't get many minutes because of foul trouble. But we can see better defense with Watson and with Strawther. And I would like to see either of them in the starting five. I don't want to see Russ. Russ is not what he was supposed to be. I do not want to see Russ. MPJ had 2 games with 8+ rebounds. The last, last night he didn't do much. I think he had 4 boards. We can't afford that if you're 6'10". So why not throw Watson in there? Watson can do it. Watson played a super athletic, fast-paced game, going in, getting those hustle rebounds. That's what we needed, and we're not seeing that from MPJ. I think it is time to move on from Michael Porter Jr. unless he is getting the rebounds that we see and need, but he's not. And he did the 2 games prior to last night he did. Last night he did not, and I think it's finally time for David Adelman to put his foot down. This is not Calvin Booth and Mike Malone's team anymore, David Adelman. It is your team, and in his presser he said, we should have worked with, maybe more guys off the bench. We ran an 8-man rotation. I thought that was a little deep and it would have helped us. Well, it's not helping us, and it hasn't been helping us, so I don't know what made you think that last night it would. I think it is time for us to finally go, okay, MPJ, we appreciate you playing through it. Continue to do that, but you're going to continue to do that off the bench with restricted minutes, because unless you're shooting your shots, hitting at least 2 to 3 threes, then you're not in the starting 5 anymore, and now it's time to move on to a guy like Strawther or Watson. So I think that is one of the biggest things that we need to see. And with that being said, we're leading into the inconsistency of it. Michael Porter Jr. has not been consistent. Our fourth quarters have not been consistent. Jokic hasn't been consistent, and that's another topic I'm going to move on to after this. But Christian Brown, right? And he's the player that's been a huge factor for us. But Christian Brown has played well, kills us with the turnovers a little bit. He can't stay consistent with making his mind up. But at the same time, he is so inconsistent from the corner. And I know he gets tired. He's one of those guys that plays the entire game if we need him to, because he is such a good hustle player. But I don't know how we help him or he helps us with staying consistent and hitting those corner threes. This is a time where you look back at Calvin Booth and you go, okay, Calvin Booth wanted to kill this team. He must have, because Bruce Brown, Jeff Green, and KCP were our 3 guys who you could trust in the corner shooting threes, and we don't have a single one of them anymore. At this point, I'm ready to see Reggie Jackson back and Colin Gillespie back to hit those corner threes, because we are so inconsistent from the corner threes. Peyton Watson has been playing awesome. Like I said, he is getting every hustle board that we need. He is doing what he can for us, but he's not shooting the consistent 3. And I know that, and this is something I've covered, and I like Watson, but it's what scares me with him getting more minutes. With MPJ hurt, we don't have a legitimate corner shooter, right? And Russ is so inconsistent, especially the last 2 games. He's been terrible. You're chucking up threes in the corner, 2 air balls in a row. Stop shooting the corner 3. And that's something, again, on David Adelman. I know you want to play the 2-man game with Jamal and Jokic. That's why I don't think Russ should be in getting those minutes with them, because that can't happen, because Russ is our shooter in the corner and he hasn't been able to shoot in the corner. So why is David Adelman continuing to play this like the rotation the way he is, and not just attempting to get Strawther in there to shoot those corner threes? Again, keep Brown in the corner. Hopefully he hits them. Or play the 2-man game with Brown and Jokic, and hopefully Brown can actually hold the ball and play a good smart game. Or have Gordon and Jokic running the 2-man game. I know it's tougher because Gordon usually has a big man on him. But have Jamal and Strawther be our guys in the corner if they're going to be able to shoot. And talking about inconsistency, this last topic I want to cover here is there an unspoken injury? And I didn't really realize this until I did more of my research before yesterday's game, that game 1, Jokic took a hard fall on his elbow, and I was watching the warm-ups, and you start to see, right? And I noticed this a few games ago. He's wearing 2 elbow pads, not just 1. Sometimes he'll wear his 1. He is wearing a padded elbow pad over wrapping and tape, that it looks like, under that pad. Is Jokic dealing with an injury in his right elbow? I know after last game you could look at him and be like, there's no way. He went off, finally shot well. But does that Is that a factor in the last 2 games or 3 games before that where he couldn't hit a single shot? Yesterday he goes up for a rebound, gets yanked, and you see him immediately grab his elbow trying to fix that tape. And I think that is something that you need to watch out for. Again, MPJ's injury is costly, but we cannot afford to have Jokic hurt. And I'm wondering now if he's playing through an injury. Is this something that, and he'll never say it. We already know that Jokic he's too tough to say that, oh yeah, I'm playing with an injury, because he doesn't want to play with the excuses. And I'm not using it as an excuse either. But is he playing with an injured elbow right now and a shooting arm? That's what's tough to see, right? And that's exactly why we're going to go back, cover all these topics, and say, well, we need more consistency from our players. Maybe the inconsistency that we're seeing from Jokic is because of an elbow injury. And we need to shoot better, so maybe change up the rotation. And I know that Adelman said the minutes in the fourth quarter were my choice. Me and Jokic had a discussion. He wanted to play the fourth quarter. But why not, if you know, and I think that Adelman would know if he's dealing with an injury, play Najee a little bit, get Zeke Najee in there. We need to see a backup center for a little while, give Jokic a little bit of rest, and let him, work on his shoulder, or his elbow injury rather, and finally let him come back in with fresher legs and try to beat that fourth. He did everything he could. It's not his fault that we lost that game, because in the fourth quarter he did everything he needed to do. But why not allow him to try to maybe get a little ice on that elbow, or a little rest on that elbow, and then come in the fourth, fully dominate, not be tired at the end of the game when obviously we don't have the rotation that they have, and be the Jokic that we know. Hopefully the injury is not as bad as it looked, because it does look a little tough. I know the stats say otherwise, but if you look at the way he reacted when he got tugged, it looked bad, and it looks like he's nursing this bad elbow injury, and the fall looked bad, especially when you're that size. So hopefully it's not as bad as we think, and he comes out and dominates next game, and we're able to take home another victory, push it to Game 7. I know that in last episode I said that I want us to go into rebuild and not go into Game 7, but obviously I want to see them, and it was in the heat of the moment I said that. But again, I'm praying that this Jokic injury isn't as bad as it sort of looks when he's playing, and he's able to keep up his consistent game, and we're able to take another win out. That's all I got for you guys today, Nuggets Nation. Hopefully, again, I'm in a better mood, and we win another game, and we don't have to see a rebuild just yet. And I'm hoping that you guys feel the same way I do. Let's get it. Let's go on, win 2 more in a row, and move on to another Western Conference Finals. I'll catch you guys later.